Papa Pepper, Garden Update, 7/15/18.
Alright guys, Papa Pepper here once again. It's been about 3 weeks since I've done a garden tour and had some requests, so I'm just going to walk around, show you guys a little bit of what we got going on, some of the growth we've got, and just how we're doing. So check it out. So here we go. There's the hops. The majority of them are running to the top already. You can see a lot of the hops cones. So we're doing really good over here on the hops. There they are, a little shady on this side of them, but they're doing well. Here I've got my gack fruit. I'll talk about more later, but pretty much gack fruit is one I'm never going to get to taste unless I head over to Asia or find a grower. It's got such a short shelf life that I really got to grow it myself. So these are actually about 3-year-old vines right now. I just bring them in the winter. We'll get them established in the greenhouse here soon enough. Then the pitaya, and as you can see, even after pruning them back quite a bit this spring, they've got a lot of new growth. So what I'm going to do is prune a lot of this back to the way that I want it prior to the time when they would be setting fruit. I was just letting these harden up enough that I could actually propagate them first. That way I could send them to others, bless others with them as well. Here in front of the hops, got just a couple little parsleys for Mama, and then I've got my dwarf tamarillos. Something's eating this one. But the dwarf tamarillos are one that I found last year at Baker Creek, and we really enjoyed eating the fresh fruit, and figured, you know, we gotta get growing this. So you can see right here in the middle, it's starting to flower, and it should set up a nice pile of flowers. It'll turn into a nice little cluster of orange berries, and then from there it'll keep making more, hopefully. But I like them in this location. They seem to be doing good. Some mullein and tobacco growing over here. This is one I call the Two Brothers, where I'm just trying to grow tomatoes up a trellis on the outside. That side's beefsteak. This side is chocolate cherry and yellow pear. And then in the middle, I planted some rainbow corn. So it's a full head of corn, but it's just rainbow in color. And we'll see what all we use that for. If we can eat it fresh, we'll eat it fresh. If we need to use it for something dry and grind to make corn tortillas, we'll do that. And if it has to be animal feed, then we'll do that. But I think it also works well for popcorn. We figured out last year. This is a pile of ghost peppers here. Of course, it can't be Papa Pepper without actually growing peppers. Here's just a couple sweet potatoes. This stuff we got in really late, but sweet potatoes are actually growing. Tobacco over here. Got to get more water on this area of the garden. Here's some cold hardy kiwis that'll eventually be put. There's a kiwi trellis I'm building still way over there. Here's our potatoes. They're doing pretty good, except for where the hornworms have been mowing them down, but they're okay overall. That's mostly a bunch of prickly pear cacti varieties that do well here. We'll eat them for the fruit, and we'll eat the pads too, but I gotta get them in the ground. A couple of daikons popping up in front. Here's the Korean goji berries along the fence line. So just another type of goji berry, but the Korean ones supposedly do better in our area. So this will be a perennial one. They kind of sprawl out and tip over. So I'm going to leave this fence here permanently, let them come up. This, I don't know. It just started growing on its own, so I figured I'd see what it produced. Something from back when we had the hogs down here, and that wound up in their food that turned into a plant. This was my green corn, and it got completely ravaged by squirrels the other day. Sometimes I call squirrels the idiots of the forest, because a lot of what they do doesn't make sense. But I'm still in the battle with them. A little bit of stinging nettle getting dry in the corner. Here's horseradish. These two archways are the kiwanos, the African horned jelly melon. So they're a thick, crazy plant. I think I'm going to put a couple wires just across here and let them fill in this whole area. When they produce, oh, there we go. Yeah, so we're starting to get flowers. And that spiky little thing will eventually get about the size of my fist there. It'll be yellow and covered in spikes, and there'll be tons of these hanging here. If you grow African horned melons ever, people say they can grow 100 feet long. the vines, and they can produce up to 100 melons per thing. That's not really an exaggeration. I sent some once to Jed 78 down in Texas to grow in his greenhouse, and the thing kind of took over his greenhouse at some point. But oh yeah, here's some more. Check this out. Yeah, see, so we're gonna get all those flowers. We'll all be making dangling fruit. And they're spiky already. Let me focus that. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll have a pile of them coming in. We love them. They're kind of similar on the inside to a passion fruit if you've ever eaten one of those. So kind of like a, yeah, this descriptions of flavor escape me sometimes. But here we've got scorpion peppers. And then we've got some yasta berries and then apricot trees. So the goal is the apricot trees will eventually grow up, provide a little bit of shade for the yasta berries, and then if there's free space around, I'll still be able to grow annuals there. Same thing here, although of course my aronia is not really big enough to provide much shade for the black currants. So 3 of them look like they may have perished, but this one's still alive. It's even got some new growth, and if that's the case, we'll be able to propagate and fill in. Just some onions running around there. This is the popcorn here. This is our 3rd year growing popcorn down here, and got a couple heads on them. And again, it's, you know, squirrels trying to ransack things. Still part of what I'm fighting. Here's cucumbers. So they kind of got off to a late start, but they are starting to fill in. And oh yeah, see, you know, this is part of today's harvest. So they're doing well. We're getting a lot off them, despite the fact we got them in kind of late and they haven't really filled in yet. These are some more ghost peppers with apricot tree in the middle. Again, you're going to find a lot of perennials mixed with annuals, and there's going to be free space in my garden. So we'll just kind of use it on a yearly basis as it sees fit, as it necessitates. This is wild passion fruit vine growing here. I just let it run for right now. You can see all the flowers on that ghost pepper. Very nice. Here's 2 of my tomato plants that are producing right now. They were just in some giant cages I made. Purple ice plants on each side of the thing. And then I think we've got the white currants running through here. But again, same thing, where this one's about the only one. Oh, these are black currants. Maybe those are white. But they're the only ones doing well. In the back row, I've got a couple mulberry trees that'll be growing up, and I'm kind of going to espalier them along this fence so I can have my animals out there grazing on the pasture. We're kind of in a drought right now, so that's why my pasture looks like that. And then in front of them, I've got the, from Shalom Acres, some of the yellow raspberries. There's a couple fruits there, but they're already popping up in a couple places, so they should fill in. There's a couple more popping up. So they should fill in rather nicely, be pretty good. This is a wild persimmon that was already here. I put in a couple small ones around it. Tried to graft some khaki onto it this year, but I did it too late. So I just kind of pruned it back, and we'll try again next spring, hopefully. These are some of the wild American gooseberries here. This is the strawberries that we got going from Shalom Acres with a couple big tobacco plants. Don't smoke tobacco, but they have a variety of uses. This tobacco got just completely eaten, and we've got some rhubarb growing here. So we'll see if the rhubarb doesn't continue to grow every year. Here I've got just lemon balm with mulberries in between it. That's a wild persimmon. I'll cut back down. But the mulberries I was going to try to just kind of train as a hedge and see if that didn't work. Around the outskirts there is going to be a variety of thornless blackberries and other ones. Berries, and then a lot of fruit trees that still need to get in buckets. These are some more of my ones. I got to get water in these guys today. Passion fruits I'm propagating for down by the chicken pen. And here's a variety of plants that have to get in. Here I've got another pile of apricot trees and then some comfrey. So the comfrey will be able to fill in the bottom. The apricot trees will kind of come up and be lollipopped, so they won't be just allowed to turn to a giant tree. A couple wild persimmons here. And these guys over here, I'll show you quick too. Oh, these are Carolina Reapers, formerly the hottest pepper in the world. But these guys, I'll do a full feature on soon. But these should be my tamarillos, and they are one savage looking plant. So we'll see how they do, similar to the dwarf tamarillos. This one didn't really take off this year, but there is a couple raspberries going in it and a tobacco plant. Here is my Chinese red noodle beans. These guys, if you've never grown them, man, they work so well for us here. Especially growing like this. This is so easy to pick. And just kind of head through and pick up all those ones. They're still young, they're still filling in this year, but we're getting a good handful on a daily basis. And love them pickled, love them fresh, love them in stir fries and salads. So popcorn again. These are my Sugar Rush peach peppers and a couple cherries. Lost the one in the middle that was a different kind. And then this one's one of my kind of pride and joys this year. It's my gourd tunnel. Next year we'll probably give it to achacha cucumbers, maybe kiwanos, or maybe the noodle beans. So we'll rotate it on a yearly basis. I'm gonna build a couple of these though, but this is just beautiful. Here's the ones we're letting go to seed. These things are so huge, over 3 feet already. And then all these other ones here can be eaten right now. So I've got a good harvest of snake gourds right now. The snake gourds, we use them in stir fries so far. Eat them up to about 3 feet, 2 or 3 feet long. We'll eat them. We'll just slice them up and use them in stir fry. And one of those gives my family about a meal. And I was just talking to Mama Pepper because we're eating almost on a daily basis a meal of that. And I said, you know, if we can grow 300 a year, that's pretty much a meal for the summer and a meal for the winter all year long. And then they're growing way over here already too. I only planted them on this side, so they've made it all the way across, and they're growing down on each side. And this thing is just thick. I was watching some of the sphinx moths pollinate it last night, and then this side is just the birdhouse gourds. So those are just an ornamental, but they're fun, they're cool. Here's one I made with some sheep wool to dangle it from, and there we go. This is Mama Pepper's herb garden. So the pitayas we move into the greenhouse or inside for the winter. This is a row of figs that I propagated where they're going to die back a lot of years, and in the spring, you know, they won't be coming up incredibly for most of the year, so they're not really going to be blocking the light that the hops would need. But here's Mama's thing. We've got some catnip, which will be a perennial. Pineapple sage won't be. There's pineapple chamomile and some other chamomile here. The mullein, the yarrow is going to be one that's a perennial. So will the lavender. The toothache plant will not, which is just beautiful. I gotta harvest these soon. Some people call these buzz buttons because they make your tongue tingle up pretty good. I got some resin calendula growing back there too. Mugwort. This is my mugwort plant. That'll be another perennial. And then it just kind of reflects itself this way from the lavender, yarrow, mullein, which I'll have to harvest that one, save it. So this is going to be one of my experiment gardens too, where what I'm going to do is bring up these apricots to the top level, and I'm going to have red currants underneath it, growing at the bush level, and then I'm going to take the strawberries up there, propagate them here, and let them fill on the bottom. So I'll have strawberries on the bottom, currants in the middle, and then apricots at the top. That should work pretty good. Some extra toothache plant there. This is where I'm actually growing. I keep saying I was producing all my tomatoes off of 8 plants so far because the other ones haven't started, but actually it's only 7 because I got 1 in the back row and then 2 on each of these. This was where I got away from tomato cages and pruning this year and just let them run. There's some DE on them right now to fight the tobacco hornworms, and it's just a massive jungle. It's, you know, if you look at it compared to me, that's crazy. Here's this side. I mean, this is 2 tomato plants right here, guys. Amazing. Now, I am going to be growing that right there, and at the bottom of the other ones are muscadine grapes. Here are some of my Trinidad perfume peppers, so it's got a nice flavor like a hot habanero type would, but it's a perfume. There's no heat. That's wonderful. Here's another one where I'm growing up a couple different kinds of grapes, and total I've got Fredonia, Frontenac, Concord, and Edelweiss. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to train them up. Oops, they joined together. I'll undo that later. But I'm just going to train them up on a stem and let that stem get hard enough, and then just pretty much run them like a lollipop so it actually looks like a tree. And the bottom of that I'm going to cover with strawberries as well. This is a new one for us this year again too. Malabar spinach, which is beautiful, thick leaves, kind of reminds me of purslane. Some are already to the top, and we'll let this fill in. Really good, does great in the heat. Looking forward to that. One thing I didn't mention was the basil over here by the tomatoes. So here we've got the trifoliate citrus, which is going to be a citrus tree that actually grows year round here. I've got 2 of those I'll bring up, and they kind of grow more slender all the way up. Kind of similar to a pear tree, I guess. I've got a different kind of rhubarb here down at the bottom level, so this will be a perennial garden. And with the rhubarb dying back every year, we should be able to grow carrots or radishes or something at the low level of this every year too. This is a black pearl pepper, so I actually had to buy that one at the store, but normally I save seeds for that variety and keep them through. This actually is the mobile home there, and then I've got my drive-through where I can drive around and through to the garden sites. On the other side here is where we've got some beans and sorghum and a red full head of corn growing there. Here's some more beans with some little sunflowers in the back. Plenty of people got 8, 9, 10 foot tall sunflowers already. I got mine in late, but I still planted some. I'm gonna grow some squash under there and some climbing beans here. This side of the world, we've got a variety pepper garden here. I can't wait for this to fill in. Some are chocolate ghosts, some are other things. Some are already making little peppers. Wonderful, beautiful. This is going to be where I keep the, try to keep the sunchokes, the Jerusalem artichokes. So I got in those right away, added a couple later in the year. We'll see how they do. This is my hominy. I have both white and pink, I think, is the way it goes. And then all this is going to be eventually added into garden area too. I used the Jacob sheep to pretty much come through here and wipe out the existing forest to a degree, so it'll be easy to chipper shred what's left. They've already fertilized it to a certain degree. I'll clean up the big logs for lumber, use the branches for chipper shredding, and just kind of continue this whole garden this way, but where I don't get it covered right away, it starts to regrow. Here again, late start, but I do have some watermelon plants starting. I've got some more pepper plants here, Tabasco and some other stuff. I am planted some baby fat achicha cucumbers here with my bamboo trellis that I made, so hopefully they got time to go. Some eggplants in the middle, we'll see how they do. Some okra over here. Again, these were late starts, but they were all like a couple cents at a grocery store to pick them up already made. These are going to be my loofah gourds, which I'm really looking forward to. Here's another pepper garden with, there's going to be some rosemary bushes out here. Propagated them. That's nice, free plants, gotta love it. And then this is the last one that I put in recently too, so we've got some of the patty pan kind of squash there, tomatillos there, and then a couple of some peppers somebody had. It was, trademarks the world's hottest Caribbean peppers. We'll see about that. And that's just, the trademark thing, kind of like if you drive past Branson, Missouri, which isn't incredibly too far away. It says, Pierce Arrow, Branston's hottest show, and that's their trademark, that's what they registered for themselves. So anyway, if you look at this, there's a lot of big green. I mean, just big green, big green, big green, big green, planted up, doing well. A lot of things that are going to fill in. A lot of things like this row of figs. That's going to be growing back for years to come. That's going to be something I can use to propagate my own figs. That's going to be, free fig plants to pretty much trade, barter, sell, whatever I want to do with. These guys, like I said, will have to come in the winter, the pitaya, the dragon fruit, but same thing. I can make more anytime I want, and excited about that. And then these guys, stuff like this too, where, I'll grow these to save my own seeds too. These are awesome. I think a couple of my top plants I'll get into shortly. I'll make a video sharing some of just my my favorite plants to grow these days that are all brand new to us. And we're excited. So we'll just keep moving forward, keep pressing through, and that's the garden for now, folks. Hope you like it. Papa out. As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.